All right. Happy Thursday, VV Nation. Let's get to it. If you can hear me, if you can see me, put a VV in the comment section appropriately here. Give it just a moment. All right. Looks like people are making their way into the room here. The alert should be hitting in just a moment. Joey, just make sure that alert hit. Again. Oh, there it goes. I hear it. That's always a good sign. I hear it. All right. Happy Thursday, everybody. Happy Thursday. Look, we got Rocks R first in the comment section. Happy Thursday there. Good afternoon, VV Nation from snowy Virginia. Yeah, the cold coming back in. Winter's not quite over yet. I saw 20s and 30s here in North Carolina as the low. Alfredi says, we see you. Did you do Western Wednesday yesterday? Yes, I did do yesterday Wednesday. That is in the community room now, French Mama. It's in the community room. It is on YouTube on the paid side. Otherwise, it'll be in the community room. Crazy weather in Virginia for sure. 70 this morning, will be snowing this afternoon. Sounds not much different than North Carolina. You get a couple seasons in one day. All right. Whoo. Happy Thursday. I wish the markets were happy, right? Who wishes the markets were a little happier, right? Oh, man. As we all know, as we all probably see or have heard on the news, the Middle East conflict, some tensions rising, some updates. We talked about it yesterday. Some tankers. It was the Taiwanese tanker. Or no, not Taiwanese. It was a tanker from Thailand. But 3 more were struck. I have an article. You could see the markets not responding very well when it comes to the news out of the Gulf right now. Global shipping, right? Oil, energy. That's what it's about. That's what the market is scared about right now. The Dow Jones, almost 600 points to the downside. The NASDAQ down 300. Again, if you do not have access to the software, take out a trial. The DEW, the confirmed down signal, has been down for about a month now. I think it was February 5th. So if you find yourself on the wrong side of the market, take out the trials. That way you can get access to the timing signals. All right. That being said, if we take a look at the other major indices here, they're all down over 1%. Leading the charge, tech. Not too surprised by that, but 1.43% there. I did see the yields. Looks like they were on the rise, so it's probably affecting some growth stocks and tech in general. But the VectorVest composite, the broad market, down 1.3%. If we're looking at Midas Touch, which is just below it, Midas Touch is a strategy. Easiest way to describe it, you're looking at 3 months worth of momentum. Now, we do that by looking at some moving averages of RT. Not going to get all into that information right now. But just looking at these stocks here and ETFs, you can see where the momentum is, right? Energy, petroleum, mining, right? Vertiv Holdings, still some AI infrastructure plays, still holding their ground there. And actually holding its ground today. I'm surprised it's not down a little bit, but it's holding 0.68 there. But look at the energy. Well, it's 3 times leverage, but 7.81%. So just by looking at Midas Touch alone, I can see exactly where the opportunities are in the market. And look at the trading systems down below. These are automated trading systems. So if you definitely find yourself in the situation where you might need more guidance, need more structure, these pre-designed trading systems, they tell you exactly what to buy, when to buy it, and when to sell. The Midas Touch goes ballistic. So you're 17% over the last 1 month. That's how these are ranked here by the last 1 month. The near perfect trading system, so that's probably going to use the near perfect indicator if I had to guess. Almost 15% over the last month here. Don't sleep on some of these trading systems. They do very well. All right, let's get into it. Joey, take me to the other screen capture one here. There we go. Now we can see the software. I look so tiny. Make me bigger. There we go. Look so tiny. Look so tiny. Hey, John, how are we doing today? Bill, that's an understatement, right? When I was getting stopped out of so many positions, I didn't want to buy SPY puts, but it turned out being an okay move. Glad I sold because all my stocks were down more. Thank you, VectorVest, and confirmed down in DEW. That's what I'm talking about, John. That's where the system comes into play, right? Because now, if you're asking, what should I do? What should I do? Well, our down signals have already been given. Our market timing signals, only one I have, displayed here is the MTI, but the other two, RT and BSR, they've been below 1 for some time now. So a lot of people have been hedging their portfolios, whether it's contras or options, things of that nature. But now, if you are, familiar, if you've been around in the VectorVest ecosystem for a while, and if you're not, if you haven't been, if you're new, what are we potentially getting ready for now? I know some of y'all are I get excited about it too. What is potentially on the horizon here soon? I'll give you a clue. I am referring to the MTI and the BSR, right? What am I referring to? Why would I be getting excited here in the near future? Well, potentially here in the near future, right? Bottom fishing opportunities, right? The DW, you told us to ask questions. Yeah, well, actually, definitely ask some questions. Bottom fishing. There we go. Bottom fishing. All right. Oh, I forget that it's on a delay from the live stream here. Yep. MTI 0.6. Perfect. That's what I wanted to hear, right? So just thinking about it logically, if I had some DEW down signals, if I had the confirmed down signal, whatever signal you might be referring to, because they're all down, right? Yeah, you've probably been doing contras or puts or, whatever it may be, hedging your downside. But now the MTI is in the 0.6s, right? I don't have the BSR established, but I imagine it's getting close to the 0.2s at this point. Anybody know where the BSR is? You can put it in the comment section. But now is a good time to get ready for that scenario, right? So if I got, hedging positions, I'm not going out selling them right now. But I would be asking, what... in essence, were my targets when I bought these, right? Because MTI gets close to 0.6 and BSR gets 0.2, and I'm holding a bunch of shorts, or contras, whatever it may be. BSR 0.34, right? You could be holding those on like a blast off day, right? As you pull that market down, what likes to happen, right? Let it go and it slingshots up. So just be careful of that. Not saying that's going to happen right now or tomorrow, right? But that is potentially on the horizon now that the MTI is getting down to the 0.6s. BSR getting close. It's at 0.34. It's at 0.2. Is when typically or historically we say, the market's looking for a bottom, right? So it's getting close, but it's not quite there yet. The primary wave is still down. I haven't even looked at it today, but I know it's probably not up today, right? The VectorVest composite down another 1.28%. So again, the market doing what the market does, the VectorVest software keeping on the right side of what the market's doing. All right, let's jump into some news real quick before we get into some stocks. I got some fish for you today. I want to get some of your stock picks. So yesterday, afternoon market action, we talked about the ship that was struck. Now, as you can see, this is not, coming to an end or whatever is being said. The escalation is there, right? It's real. The market's affecting that. 3 more foreign vessels were struck off the coast of Iraq and UAE overnight, authorities said. The latest incidents, Strait of Hormuz, come shortly after Iran warned to the world to prepare for $200 oil prices. Shipping traffic through the Strait of Hormuz has virtually ground to a halt, right? The global economy relying on this. So, of course, everyone wakes up, they see this on the news, and the market's probably not going to be too thrilled about that, right? So we'll see what happens here. Again, You know, if you're playing the geopolitical trade, the energy trade, the petroleum trade, that kind of stuff, essentially this is news you want to be bullish, right? Let's call it what it is. Here's another one. U.S. deficit tops $1 trillion through February, but runs below year-ago pace, right? Customs duties, where is it at here? Yep. The U.S. budget deficit totaled $1.04 trillion, about 12% lower than the comparable period in 2025, as revenues rose faster than spending. We'll see. We'll see, right? I want to see the whole at level, but this is what I'm more worried about. The entire levels just keep going up, right? And we all know gold, right? Going to thrive. And I imagine just, you know, the headline alone, if it starts getting closer to 40 trillion on the horizon, right? You know, it's probably going to help gold, right? So as long as this number gets higher and higher in the long run, I'm going to be bullish on gold. But we can take a look at gold in the chart in the short term. Speaking of gold, if you buy a lot of gold, you don't want to sell your gold shares, right? Whether it's an ETF or a stock, look at covered calls or different income strategies. And if you're not familiar with options, we do have the Options Jump Starter coming out. This is hosted by Ron Wheeler. It's free webcast to help brand new people to options, right? So I'm talking about the basics here, the absolute basics. You know, calls and puts, you know, dissecting them. What's the strike price, the expiration, you know, very elementary stuff when it comes to options. But if you're new to options, right, you know, I had to learn it myself. It's foreign language when you first start out. But it's a phenomenal webcast. So check it out when you get a chance. You can just register here. Just go to VectorVest.com/OJS webinar. OJS webinar. And that'll get you all signed up for the Options Jump Starter here. Still up marginally for the week. Nice, nice. I've actually done pretty well this week myself. Made a nice trade today. Little day trade. Did a little put. You know me, I trade options. So clearly, I think learning options is important. I don't really buy a whole lot of stocks. But options, for me personally, it just works out better. All right. Another thing I wanted to talk about, because I know a lot of customers and people, you know, watching the stream here have been talking about the Canadian oil stocks, right? Benefiting from the Iranian conflict, which naturally, logically thinking, yes, I do see that probably occurring, right? But here's another thing that's not making the headlines because, you know, it's not as big as what's going on in the world right now. But have you guys seen that the Keystone XL trying to get revived, right? This isn't a bad time to sell. Bullish. Sorry, I said bullish. SPX spreads way under the price. I'd have to look at it and do the math, but spreads are, I mean, they're definitely a more conservative approach, or prudent. I would say more conservative approach in options, definitely, because you're controlling risk. But yeah, I could see that. And also pretty cool if you don't have the Options Pro tool. It gives you a really good, there's a valuation indicator you can put on the chart there to see if premiums are overvalued or undervalued in general, right? Because if you're selling premiums, you want to sell them overvalued, right? In periods of overprice, you're going to get the extra premium, right? Because if you're the buyer, you want cheaper premiums, right? You want to get them at a discount. And how that's calculated, you just take, you know, IV, implied volatility, compared to historical volatility. All right. But yeah, so this right here, South Bow out it again. I put this stock here along with a couple others that could, you know, potentially benefit from this pipeline going through, right? And there are some names on there. So, you know, if you are thinking petroleum, if you're holding petroleum stocks, that kind of nature, and you want more than just the geopolitical news, you want a little bit more substance, you know, here's another story here as well. But again, this is still very infancy of this project revival. This project, major uncertainties here, regulatory approval, environmental challenges. They've been trying this for a long time now. But we're going to take a look at some of the petroleum stocks here. Again, this is on the TSX as well as SOBO. We're going to take a look at it on the New York Stock Exchange here in the VectorVest software, or the U.S. version of the VectorVest software here. All right, next story I did want to talk about, Lucid. Interesting. So I haven't talked about Lucid in a while. Reveals plan for robo-taxi. Is Tesla letting another company now to be a competitor when it comes to the autonomous driving, right? Essentially, that's what I'm hearing from this article. Right? But Lucid, down 7%, not very good, right? The company held its first investor day in nearly 5 years as a public company, and it's down 7%. I'm going to take a look at it in the software, right? But you can see the stock here, the news, the target through market expansion into mid-sized vehicles, robo-taxis, new counties. Oh, I should say countries. Yep. Oh, I found a spelling error, CNBC, specifically in Europe, right? So they're trying to penetrate other markets, but you know what else is trying to penetrate that market? And it has been Chinese EV makers, right? NIO being one. So we'll see how Lucid is, but I want to, when I look at it in the software, I'm going to look at earnings growth rate, forecasted EPS, and our value, right? We could take a look at, the candlesticks itself and see if there's a trade coming up. But as far as an investment, those are the things that I'm going to look at, right? Next stock, getting some news, right? Nibius, NVIDIA, they've been buying all kinds of stocks that we're talking about here. They got into the optic stocks. This is a, hyperscaler infrastructure play kind of thing. But NVIDIA invested in them, but now is downgraded after a post-NVIDIA investment rally as valuation appears stretched, right? That's one of the reasons why I chose Iron over Nibius, the valuation here, right? Now you can see the rapid AI annual rate of return growth at one point targeting 7 to 9 billion by 2026. Whew. That's the whole reason why I did that video. Look, that was probably towards the end of last summer. So probably about 6 months ago. It was this one. CoreWeave was one, and then Iron was the other one. I think there was a couple others, but those are the three main ones. But yeah, so as long as they can, I have to see, but that's a big jump here. And you're talking about 1.25 billion now to 7 to 9 billion. That's massive, massive. So what we're going to do, because I got NVIDIA in the list as well, we'll take a look at that one. But when we get to the software, I want to see the price action, because we're going to tell, when the news came out, and see how much of it has been baked in and take a look at our valuation, right? So I wonder if it's all baked in. I haven't really looked at NBIS in a little bit. So I'm just curious. The last story I have for you, Microsoft, right? Next Xbox console is coming out here soon. But this is going to be my focus today. If I zoom in here, it's going to feature AMD Silicon. AMD made their way back into it. They did it before. Ryan, intraday trading, can we please cover it sometimes? We could cover that sometimes. Volaxi, might get to it today, actually, depending on what time. But yeah, so we're going to take a look at AMD as well, because that is also going to be on my radar. So let's get back into the software. I can just close out of this. There we go. I mean, you can see what's up today. You got petroleum, you got utility and chemical. Apparently, one of the disruptions, Iran, apparently, fertilizers, chemical, things of that nature. So those are benefiting right now. Look at that. The rest is in red. The rest is in red. All right, so let's go over here to the viewers. Let's go to news first. So these are going to be the oil plays. Let's see here. Phillips, we had Canadian Natural Resources. I think it was Kinder Morgan, yes. South Bow. That was the one mentioned in the article here. SOBO. TC Energy Corp, Enbridge, ENB. And then we had AMD and Microsoft, Nibius, Lucid, and NVIDIA. All right, so let's get into it here. Let's graph these. Valaxi in particular, what do you mean by intraday trading? What kind of questions, or was there something in particular? Was it an index that you're speaking of here? Here's NVIDIA, still in his channel. But look at that valuation. I mean, I don't like it. Earnings per share still ticking up. I like NVIDIA. I'm still holding it in my portfolio. That shouldn't have closed. Should still be holding it. Here's PSX. Look at the value jumping. I am liking PSX here. Look at the earnings per share. Price action here. I'm going to switch to my, I like this new layout that I created. This, I'll call it the enhanced simple layout. But Phillips 66, that valuation there. Yeah, closer to the 20. Probably more of an ideal entry. I'm sure we can just see that clearly here on this run that we've had recently. Here's CNQ. Yeah, I like it. And if you're in it, I wouldn't be in a rush. But I will say, the sneezies. Be careful, because every time it hits this line here, it likes to pull back, and we are approaching that line again. Almost a very sharp ascending channel here. Right now we're at the top of that channel, and it's a very sharp channel. Look how quickly this channel is rising here. Let's go to a 6-month time span. Yeah, I like Phillips 66 so I feel like this play is already there. If not, I have to catch it maybe closer to that 20. Here's AMD. AMD, not looking good. But you still got to fill this gap, AMD. That's what I'm waiting for. Microsoft pulled the same thing. I think this is, I got to see this. I'm telling you, if this occurs, AMD around 174 to 179, I'd put an alert there. Especially with the BSR and MTI not quite at their low level, it could be due for a pullback. I don't know. Just because it's already entered the gap, yeah, I think that would be a great trade in the near future. Hopefully in the near future. So yeah, that would mean I'm bearish on AMD still. But the valuation's there. You're getting a fair value on it. Undervalued for sure. Earnings per share, no red signs there. Just prices under pressure. And I see this gap fill. Never retested this breakout area from this prior swing high. I need to set up an alert for the AMD gapiosity trade. Yeah, John. I don't know. Does anyone else like this? I like what I see here. I like what I see. Again, let the stock come to you. So, if you are a trader, right, and you wanted to short a stock, here you've got a big upper wick on the 20-day EMA. You got rejection, and I'm talking down here. So, clearly I am thinking that it's probably going to make its way down here. I don't know. Does anyone else see that? I see it. I see it. All right, here's KMI. Oh, it just had a nice little pivot off the 20. Some nice follow through the next day here. This is petroleum again. Potentially could benefit depending on what that pipeline does. RT relative timing, picking up pace to the upside. Earnings per share. Just be careful. It's petroleum, right? This is going to thrive in chaos and stuff like that in the world. Peace. This is going to cause the price come back down in the short term. So just keep that in mind. Here's Microsoft. Microsoft also, see, did this little very similar back here, right? Found its way. I still like Microsoft. Yes, the market doesn't have its act together. I can see Microsoft coming down a little bit more. But still, I like that trade. I like the trade. Not the market right now. Wouldn't be in a rush to jump into it. I'm liking that one. Very similar. Done. AMD alert set on my system. Sobo, South Bow Corp. This one, again, has a direct connection to the pipeline, Keystone. But we haven't seen a 20 touch in a while, and maybe the rumor is already coming out, and that's why you haven't had one. Oh, probably not maybe, but look, I mean, the stock went from 28 to 33 just since, what, probably about mid-January here. So it's overvalued. I don't know if I really like it that much, but as far as an investment, it's hard to justify that as an investment. Well, I don't know. Earnings per share is jumping up. Let's go back a little bit more here. Interesting. Yeah, a lot's going to rely on that Keystone pipeline. Interesting news story. Let's see here. Enbridge. Here's another one showing momentum to the upside. I'm liking that one. RT relative timing. These are nice momentum trades in this down market. Here's NBIS. Be careful with NBIS. If I extend this out again. Yeah, we gapped right up to it. I mean, maybe I'd imagine if the market was better, right? If we were seeing green lights in the color guard, maybe some green in the indices, we'd probably see a little bit better optimism here or follow through. But with that touch still within the body, especially if we take out yesterday's low, I'd be careful because we got a gap fill. As far as the stock itself, look, this was the news here. You could see the momentum to the upside. The value's going up to 20, but it's just trading way above its valuation. And look at the forecasted earnings per share. Just falling off a cliff here. It's moving the exact opposite way. No, here's TRP. Oh, look at this, shaping up. This could be a 20-day pivot. Petroleum. Look at that. Very nice. We can take out the prior high by about 12 cents. Would be perfect. Stock's overvalued. RT's above one. Again, just another petroleum momentum play. But this one you're seeing the pivot and some follow through in the making. So here's Lucid. No. Value keeps dropping. Value's now at $1.98. Earnings per share. Holy moly, earnings per share was so bad. It was almost negative $10, $9.30. Now it's at negative $7.24. It's getting better, but the stock, no. I am not liking the fundamentals. Look at that. Oof. Look at the value. Everyone's, VectorVest has got to be wrong. This, stock's trading way up here. Man, just be careful. That's earnings per share has been moving in the right direction this entire time, but the stock is just still trading at a premium. Not a good stock here. Not a good stock. Anyone in the TQQQ REITSMA strategy? Actually, good time to mention that because I can go over here, my portfolios. Here's REITSMA's nuts. Ooh, you bought it yesterday. Looks like it got down a little bit, 1.6%. Take a look at it here. Still holding Nvidia. Oracle's up 6. Netflix up 14. I'm not gonna buy anything today. Again, red lights dominating the color guard, so it just doesn't make much sense to. Glenn, he just went back. He's been kind of a little positive, a little negative so far. Nothing real crazy there. This was on a nice tear, with the market pulling back. So are these. The top one still UAMY, then ISSC, Micron, silver, gold. Interesting. But yeah, it was activated. It looks like it was activated yesterday. Yep, looks like it was yesterday. All right. All right, let's see here. Let's go to fish. Real quick, I got some fish for you. Because last Thursday, remember we were talking about the Contras? Because this was in the watch list when I pulled it up today. So it was last Thursday. Had some Contras. I think I got rid of a couple of them. Oh, I got rid of the circle one. It was like the Yield Max one that came up as a top ETF. And well, we were in the watch list viewer. So we can take a look at the leverage ETFs here. So let's just quick test these real quick. See how they did it since last Thursday. Last Thursday, there we go, run test. There we go. Those ETFs working really good there. Perfect. All right. So some of these other ones, I got Stride, Flex, let's see, IHS Holding. There's another stock. These stocks here showing a little bit of optimism today. Buy ratings here as well. Look at the valuations, all undervalued. So we're going to take a look at these positions. Could have some potential fish on our radar if the market can get its act together. Let's see here. Let's do Star Search. Here is Star Search. We are in the fast lane, have been in the fast lane here. Maybe here you would have protected. So probably, well, not much follow through, but maybe here you would have protected. Potentially here, but you didn't take no follow through. You didn't take out much of the low. Maybe here. Either way, you can see the fast lane doing a pretty good job keeping you kind of in the trade here. A lot of momentum. Here's another one, Daily Energy Bull. This is 2 times leverage. I will say, as far as ETFs, like the Contra ETFs or leverage ETFs, utilizing like a 3, an 8, and a 20-day EMA is a great place to start. It's a great place to start. I know Glenn did the same. I naturally, went into the same here. Other than that, I do like Star Search. But this one looks good. I mean, those are looking good on those. Here's HCA Healthcare. Let's take a look at this one on the other platform here. Let's see, where was this? There we go. Let's go to 1 year. See, that is a smooth chart. That's a fish. And look at that, right on the 20-day EMA too. Earnings per share, steady Eddie, rising earnings per share. That's forecasted EPS here, RT, favorable. That is I like that stock, not going to lie. And if I do a little thing here, look at that. That's there's the retest right there, staying above the 20. I like it. The value, stock's undervalued here. You said it's not good company. Do you have experience with them, Mary? I would know if I had an experience with them, to be honest. But as far as the stock itself, it's looking good in the software here. One little slither of a sell here. Other than that, buy ratings dominating for the most part of the last 12 months. Here is Stride. Stride's got a nice little gap it's trying to fill here. But what I like about Stride right now, why it's catching my attention, look at the valuation starting to rise. Right? And we're seeing price starting to rise. That is something I can get behind. We got a buy recommendation on it. Again, the market not there. RT back above 1 here. Earnings per share, nice steady rise over the last year. Drop here, but picking back up. Not a bad stock. Got a big gap to fill here. We'll see what happens. But I like that. I like this right here. This is what I like. Just value rising, price starting to rise. Here's Flex. Consolidating here to the side. But again, nice smooth price action, lower left, upper right, value. So undervalued position here, rising earnings per share. Just be careful right now. I wouldn't mind seeing it get back above the 20, but fill the gap, Mary. Yep, that would kind of be my strategy. This is my first line here. I gotta. Where do I have that from? Oh, that prior swing high. That'll be my first target, 113. If it really starts filling that gap. Right now it's at 85. Because that's a big gap. So, it could take a while. So this would be my first target right here. Around 113. 113. Treat it like a zone. If that's something that you're going to take. But here is Flex. I see a little bit of a rollover. RT, not that impressed right now. Maybe put this one in a watch list, but not too impressed right now. Here's gas company. Okay, so the value's rising, price is rising here. Earnings per share stagnant, actually lower than it was here since the beginning of 2025. Utility's hot right now. It's one of the hot spaces. So yeah, if you're gonna get into try some of this momentum stuff, some of this newsworthy stuff, other than petroleum, utility being a pretty hot spot. Here is Circle. That ETF did really good. This was the one from last Thursday. It's still rising very nicely here. Last Thursday, I think it was the 5th. It's right there. This one is from today. Oh, this has to do with the Keystone. That could potentially benefit from Keystone. Stock range bound here, but look at the value. Still ticking up. Earnings per share still ticking up to the upside. I like that one. Here's SQQQ. You can see, oh, there's the pressure building here. Looks like it came down to retest. That was the entry here for sure. That was the pivot to play. Not much confirmation there. A little riskier. Today you're getting more confirmation. Interesting. Like I said, like a 3 and 8 would work well here. Maybe 20-day EMA. But yeah, that's shaping up nicely here. There's going to be a resistance. Somewhere in here. All right, here is SOKS. This is Bear Semiconductor, 3 times leverage here. Or sorry, SOXS, not SOK. And nice, it's starting to pick up momentum here. Our stop price kind of tends to be where it wants to find rejection. So let's get it above our stop price and maybe, some follow through. All right. Let's, no, we don't have earnings today. Oh, I did want to look at the Qs. This is why I was looking at the Qs here. So I did see something interesting here. Looks like we're shaping up for a descending channel for the Qs. Anybody else see that here? That's not what you want to see if you're holding a bunch of tech stocks, by the way. But yeah, that's kind of what I see. So worst case scenario, I don't know if we're going to be touching this one again. But the market would really have to pick up steam to the downside in order to do so. So we shall see. Right? We shall see. We see the market now. Down 656. All still down 1% here. The only safe places as of right here looks like is petroleum, utility, and then we've got chemical as well. So actually, let's take a look at the petroleum graph here. Again, this is a accumulation of all of the petroleum stocks. Could be a couple hundred stocks there. And if I just scroll this up a little bit more, there, that was a perfect little bounce off. You can see the little bounce right there. Boom. So then if I extend that, that's going to be my target on here. But still, as long as petroleum in this nice little ascending channel, and this is the sector, right? So this is all of the stocks, not just one industry, but all of the industries within the petroleum sector. There's quite a few. Yeah, if this breaks this trend line here, which looks right where that 20-day EMA is, if it breaks that and the 20-day EMA are right in that zone, you could say, almost like a little zone there, that's when I would be concerned about the petroleum stocks, right? That's when my concern. As far as the upside, that's really, you got to decide your targets on your stocks, right? If you don't have targets to the upside, at least, maybe consider, stops that, ratchet or trail, something that helps, capture existing profits, especially if you're up big in some of these, right? You don't want to lose all your profits or see, big winners turn into small winners, right? Or even a loss, because that can really frustrate an individual, right? I'm sure most of us have been there before. I know I have. Let's look at aerospace and defense while we're at it. Because I know one of the other news-driven spaces to be, right? Aerospace and defense, geopolitical tensions, right? Makes sense. You look at the chart, makes sense. You see the value. You realize that in general, people are paying a premium. Investors are willing to pay a premium right now. But there's some good things going on in the defense space, right? Defense spending on the rise. Conflict, right? That's good for business for these people. Earnings per share was negative, moving in the right direction, but now in positive territory over the last 12 months. So that's a good sign. But as far as price pressure, I do see the price pressure is on here, still above our stop. But we are trading below the 20. Zoom in here. We got a nice little bounce here off the 20. Really testing it here. But testing it once again. Now the wicks are coming in from the bottom end of that 20. So just keep that in mind. Be careful with your defense stocks. What other ones? Let's look at mining. Mining. A good one. Coming back down to a fair value, right? It just got pushed. Overvalued territory. And this does include all of them, right? So we can actually, let's break this down. Let's go to industry. Let's go to mining. There we go. Mining. Gold and silver. Still undervalued. And stretching. I don't know if it's going to be dropping that far. Because you could see the volatility within the range getting wider and wider, right? Just volatility in general picking up. But that being said, price action, that's lower left, upper right? Look at the earnings per share. And I will say, since the beginning of the year, giving up some of that, right? But look at this growth in earnings per share here. So a little bit of a drop. Not that concerned about price action. Still like it. But I really just want price to stay above 1350, 1315 when it comes to the industry. Now let's take a look at uranium real quick. Way overvalued. That's where the overvalued spot is, right? You can see it right there. And look at the price action. Not good. Not good at all. There's a rejection there. So what am I looking for here? Possibly some rejection, right? You know, if we break above it, hey, look for some follow through. We start to see some rejection, look for some follow through on the downside. Maybe you can get into some shorting some uranium stocks. But it's just still overvalued, very overvalued. Very difficult to see on black screen. Can you go on white screen? Maybe we could take a poll on that. I usually do black for my own eyes. White screen, it's harder for me to see. But I get it. I try to make the lines thicker. Maybe we should take a poll. What time? At 2:45. We'll do the poll next time. So I do want to get your picks now. Let's do that. Likes. You know what? Let's see here. Go ahead and hit that like button. We are about to get some stocks going. All right. That being said, let's do 8 stocks. 8 stocks today. So the first 8 stocks coming across the comment section. Let me the 8 stocks we go across. Let's see here. Get ready to put these in. 222. UAMY. Interesting. Black. Talking about Black Rock, Daryl? Oh, black. Gotcha. I don't know what you mean. The background. MOS. Oklo bottom fishing. Let me take a look. I haven't looked at Oklo in a little while. VRT is looking good. DUOL. Duolingo is a stock? I just started using Duolingo. Let's see here. Oh, eight stocks. There we go. Let's see. Let's where the most value is. Value opportunities, value buyers up at the top. We got Pags, Rely, Moss. As far as overvalued, we got Oklo. Look at this, 0.11. And you're going to talk about bottom fishing that? You know about bottom fishing, the most overvalued one? Let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at it. German. I'm learning German. My sister got me into it. My sister got me into it. Let's see here. Pangs. Yeah, the RT is low. I could tell by that sell recommendation that the pressure has been on. Let's see here. So we've got Pags. So we go digital. Not liking it right here. I'm seeing rejection again. Sell. Where's his bottom wick here? Not a bad retest on this swing high. I do like that aspect. But still above the 20. You definitely be taking some confirmation. I mean, you got a fresh sell and 3 red lights. I'd let the trade come to you. But as of right now, I just see it, bouncing off of this swing high here. The market pulls back a little bit more, maybe look closer to 850. But that RT's picking up steam to the downside, momentum picking up. You can see RT there now at 0.7. So don't jump the gun too early. Don't jump the gun too early. Here's Rely. Just broke the 20, gap down, value on the rise here. RT just crossed below 1. You got a big gap here. I'd probably be feeling comfortable shorting this or put options, at least till here. This is about what, 2/3 the way through the gap. I got a swing high here. I'd look for a retest on that or a little bounce and then maybe potentially fill the rest of the gap. It just depends, but not going to be bullish right now. Not with a break in the 20, trading near session lows in the market. Bill says, let's hear some German swear words, right? 9. No, Bill. Let's see here. Here's Moss. We just poked out, breaking this swing high, this previous swing high here. We got an upper wick showing some resistance. So seeing some follow through would be nice. But as far in general, now as far as dip buying, not really bottom fishing because we incorporate the market in that. But as far as this dip, I am liking this because the value is starting to turn around. See the value starting to rise here, right? It's stagnant, so if you see it rise a little bit more, that would feel more comfortable. We've got a buy rating here, that transition from sell, hold, back to some buys. The only thing here with the earnings per share is dropping, right? That's not a good sign. Let's go to a year. Okay, so it is higher than a year ago, so that's a good sign. When you see this drop in earnings per share, you see the price, right? So just like I wouldn't mind seeing the value start to tick up, that earnings per share ticking up would be important too, right? Whoa, this stock. Did you start this company? This has got such low volume. It's doing a whole lot of nothing. It's undervalued. Undervalued. But in seriousness, let's go to 5 years here. What do we got? Values just dropping. Earnings per share dropping. Growth rate -6. No. Not gonna convince me of that one. I like penny stocks. I don't mind a penny stock, but just not there. Oh, well, look at Duolingo. Way overvalued. Now, here's something I can get excited about other than a penny stock. Really haven't done a whole lot. And again, look at the candlesticks. I mean, this is 2 years. Just be careful with that one. There's no liquidity in it. So here's Duolingo, way overvalued, way overvalued. Let me say that one more time. Way overvalued. Don't worry, I'm not going to say that one more time. Ryan's going to regret he told us his language. Well, in college, I took Russian. So, yeah. Я знаю русский. Duolingo. Let's see here. Way overvalued. Look at that. It's coming right to our valuation. RT suppressed 0.21. Translate the line is we could eat euros just for one day. Hey, at least I didn't say gyros. At least I didn't say gyros, Joey, can you play Big City Nights by the Scorpios so Ryan can sing it in German? What is that? I don't even want to know what that is. Duolingo is a super poopyosity stock of the day. No, John. Duolingo is a reminder of how important a reality check of valuation is, right? So yeah, the stock has poopyosity, but please, dear Lord, tell me someone in this room did not buy it for 400 or 500 or even 300 and write it all the way down to 95. Please tell me you didn't do that, right? But now, you hear that? But now that the stock is at a fair value and actually slightly undervalued, I could be interested. But yes, there's a lot of price momentum there. It's almost like a Netflix, right? I at least wanted to break the trend line, right? Or see some consolidation. But yeah, jumping in, again with the market right now, no. But if the market does start to rise, actually, I'm not gonna lie, kind of like the Duolingo. I like the fact that now we're at a fair value, right? Investors willing to pay premium, and look at the earnings per share. The earnings per share is not backing down. Yeah, the stock was trading at a premium. Is the key word, right? You know, I'd be the first to say it. You know, I talk about the value of every live stream. You know, if we were back here in time, I'd be like, well, you know, it's overvalued. Stick to the technicals. I'm sure you've heard that from me, right? Yes. Russian was my language in college. So I had to take 3 semesters, and that third one, that one was brutal. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. You know, not too many people to practice with, especially, you know, 10, 15 years ago when I was in college. You know, the city was smaller, but yeah, no, it was good language. I took Chinese, was my first. Well, I took Spanish in high school. I've taken a lot of different languages, a lot of different Latin-based languages. See here, but yeah, dueling. You know, you could hear me saying that back in time, but now, yeah, I see opportunities. I see the RT. You know, this thing could really break, and I see a big old gap here. Oh, that's the 200 to 225 mark. I'm not saying it's going to fill it right now, but maybe, you know, down the road, potentially, that value keeps rising, because the value was what back here, 48 to 98. And this is a year and 6 months. So a year and 6 months from now, if this, you know, progression continues, our value could be $200, right? So yeah, I could see this in the long run. Yeah, if that progression continues. I like the app too. It's still a horror show. Yeah, I could read Cyrillic, Valaxi. I wasn't making that up. That's horror show. Isn't that hard? Yeah. I haven't read Cyrillic in a long time. Because again, I don't know, what am I going to speak to in Russian? I just like learning different languages. I had appreciation for them. UCO here. Look at nice full body candlestick on this one as well to the upside. I'm liking this. Some follow through here. You know, as far as getting into it, yeah, a little overstretched, right? You know, you can use something like Star Search, maybe like a 3 or an 8 day. You know, it's probably utilizing a 3 or 8 as far as some of these bounces here, if I had to guess. Keep you in there. But a friend of mine bought Oklo 1,500 shares. He is crying in his beer. Where is Oklo? Oh, yeah, it's way down here because that's the most overvalued one. Here's UAMY. UAMY again. This is, I got rid of all my lines for a video. Ooh, I don't feel like putting all those back on here. But the channel lines, you know, I'm talking about the channel. I've been talking about that one for a while. Hopefully you got them on here if you're playing them. It's in, what would you call it? Traders territory right now. You know, swing, or sorry, as far as an investment, we only value it closer to $6, right? This was more of an investment opportunity here. Now we're up here. You're going to get some swings. You're going to get some swings here. Ooh, interesting. But yeah, Valaxi, I actually liked learning Cyrillic. I love history, and gives me ability to read some Eastern Orthodox material. Tabula says, I just joined. I thought you were starting in 2 minutes. In 2 minutes? I'm finishing in 2 minutes, Tabula. Finishing in 2 minutes. Might be 1 minute. Oh, this is the last one. Oklo. Look at that. We'll be out of here in 1 minute. Joey's going to be like, what? We're out on time twice in a row? Well, are we out on time Monday? I don't know. Hey, here's Oklo. Overvalued. I got 2 lines down here, right? So this was my first level support. You see here, swing high. Trying to catch it a little bit. The bounces, not that pretty. So let's see why I got these other 2 lines here. Ooh, consolidation, right? Boom. That's nice. Actually, I like the top of this cup. Looks like a cup here, doesn't it? And ooh, we just approached it. Ooh, you might get a little bouncy here. A little bouncy. I do like this. That looks kind of cuppy, right? There's the little handle. Let's just see if this works. Freehand line. About right there. Yep, about right there. Oh, yeah, look at that. Jumped right up there. Boom, 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 boom. There it is. And then looks like we had another little break up here. Yeah, look at that. Boom. And then boom. Wow, this line right here like worked for all these levels. All the levels are the same. Oh, and that's right. I had a head and shoulder here. There's shoulder, head. Oh, yeah, there's the neckline. Do. So, yeah, that would be my target down there. If this breaks, you might get a little pivot here. You might get a break, but it's overvalued. Look at the values falling. Earnings per share is falling. No. Can't get too excited with that. Anyone with WPM earn? Oh, that's right. Wheat and precious metals. All right. Look at this one real quick. Yeah, I don't like the pressure. It's under the 20 right now. I do see this gap down. I think their earnings is today, right? Is it today or might have been tomorrow? This one is trading at a premium. But for for a gold and mining stock, yeah, I do like the price action. If it wasn't for the price action, I would, prefer to be an undervalued one. Chasing value to the upside just because there's a lot of value opportunities in this space. All right, everybody. Have a good afternoon. Take care, and I will see you tomorrow.